He said, you can either join and make a difference from the inside, or you can spend the rest of your life as a critic on the outside. I think we have the best, worst church plant story in the history of the world. Access Church didn't start out to be a church. We started as a college Bible study in my living room for all of my friends who said they love God but had no connection to church. To understand how we got there, you need to understand the backstory. I graduated college and jumped right into a master's degree program, married an amazing girl named Liz. We come from ministry families and we love the church. And our heart was to chase the American dream, go to one church and be a youth pastor, and then go to a bigger church and be a college and young adult pastor. But sometimes the American dream is at odds with God's dream, and God's dream was so much better than we could have ever imagined. To understand how we got there, you need to hear this story. 6 months into marriage, my wife was doing her makeup one day. She was leaned up against the counter, and while she was doing her makeup, she felt what she thought was a bruise in her leg. She went to the doctor the next week for what she thought would be a regular checkup, and the doctor said, I don't think that's what it is. One test led to the next, which led to the next. I'll never forget where I was standing. I'll never forget how I felt in this moment when the doctor said, Liz, I'm so sorry, it's cancer. It was stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and everything in our world came to a screeching halt. All the dreams, all the hopes, all the aspirations, it all hit pause. But in that season, God had a miracle for us. It was 6 months of chemo, 6 months to recover. And in the middle of all of that, my wife and I both felt like we heard from God. And he said to us, do something in your city. He gave us a supernatural love for the city of Lakeland. And I'm so glad that he did. So I took this dream to my pastor. In that season, I worked as a graphic designer at a local amazing Assembly of God church. And I said to the pastor, look, I have this vision to start a college Bible study for my friends outside of the church, and I want your blessing. See, I don't think anything successful starts in rebellion. And so we got his full blessing, and they even supported us to help us get started. And it was amazing. We started in my living room with 15 people. And for the next 13 years, we were a portable church. We met in my living room, then a civic center, then a YMCA, then a public high school for 10 years. I mean, we were portable for 13 years, and every once in a while, a pastor will say to me, you must be a hero to do it that long. And I say, no, we were just really dumb. But dumb just means we believe that if God told us to do it, the answer should always be yes. Towards the end of that season of being a portable church, I remember I wanted to go see what other churches and networks were doing, and I took a trip to Houston to go to the CMN conference. I remember where I was. I was in the back left corner of the room, worshiping with my hands lifted high, and I heard the voice of the Lord speak as clearly as I've ever heard him. He said these words. He said, you can either join and make a difference from the inside, or you can spend the rest of your life as a critic on the outside. I knew in that moment we had to join the Assemblies of God. I love the Assemblies of God. I grew up AG. My dad's an AG pastor. For years, my brother and I traveled and spoke at AG camps all over the country. We just had never joined. We started as a college Bible study, not intending to become a church, and God had other plans. And somewhere along the way, we realized that we're doing this all alone. And so we joined and we jumped in with reckless abandon. And since that decision, a miracle has happened in our church. Literally everything you can count tripled. Remember, we were portable for 13 years. I think those 13 years were actually a dark room that God used to develop us for what he had for us for the future. We jumped into the Assemblies of God, and since then, we got our first building. It's the building I'm sitting in here. And I told you everything tripled, everything you can count, all the numbers, all the attendance, all the salvations, all the baptisms, all the giving, even our locations tripled. And God's done a miracle in just the last few years, and I'm so grateful for it. Every once in a while, a pastor will say to me, Jason, why did you join the Assemblies? Did it help you? Did it hurt you? And let me say it as clearly as I can. It has been amazing, and it has been a miracle for us. First of all, we knew God told us to do it, so we had to say yes. The second reason we joined is there is such a bright future in the Assemblies of God right now. I love the heart and I love the mission of Church Multiplication Network. Truthfully, there's not a finer church planting organization than them. The third is there is something powerful about doing ministry together. There's an old ancient African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I'm in this for the long run. I want to do this the right way to hand off to the next generation a church that's building a lasting legacy. Let me give you an example of how the Assemblies of God has personally benefited our church. Just a few months ago, I had lunch with a local pastor, and his church was struggling. Now, this was one of those big, historic, legacy kind of AG churches, and he said, we're down to 50 or 60 people. Short of a financial miracle, we're going to close the doors in 6 weeks. And I said, well, why would you close the doors and close the book? What if instead we just wrote the next chapter together? Their church prayed about it and voted unanimously to join our church. Here's the miracle. Because of this connection, we launched the church just literally a few weeks ago in that beautiful historic auditorium, and they went from averaging 50 people a weekend to having over 1,000 people on our grand opening Sunday. God has done miracle after miracle after miracle for our church, and I attribute so much of it to the connection we've made with the Assemblies. So every once in a while, a pastor will say, Jason, should we join? And I say, listen, don't even pray about it. Join with reckless abandon. And what you will find is you'll find a family to belong to, a mission bigger than you, and the ability to change the world with people who share the same heart.